Good morning, awesome artist. If you remember, last week we kept going with exploring with different print making techniques. And last week we used real leaves and we created these awesome leaf rubbings that you could see the outline and the texture of each leaf that you decided to use. This week, you should have already went through painting boot camp and you should have earned your paintbrush so that we can start painting these and then take them home. Your first material you're going to need today is going to be a messy mat. These messy mats are super duper messy, but that's why we're using them. So when you get your messy mat, you're going to pick up your paper and lay it underneath. These messy mats are just used to help keep paint off of our tables. You're also going to get these paints. You're going to have 6 paints, but we are only going to have 2 at each table, so you might have to share with someone else at your table, but that's totally fine. That's what we're gonna do. You are also gonna get a handy dandy dog bowl. In the art room, we always use our dog bowls that have water on one side and a sponge on the other, and in just a second, I'll show you how we're gonna use those. And then last but not least, you're also gonna have a paintbrush, and if you remember from painting before, we always keep your paintbrush up on its tippy toes. We never press down hard on your paintbrush because we don't want to break your ballerina's toes. Today what we're going to do, when you get back your paper and your messy mat and your paintbrush, and when you have your paint and your water, we're going to use 3 steps to start painting your leaves. Now, at your table, you are also only going to have 2 dog bowls. So that means you're going to have to share your dog bowl, your water, and your paints. Your paints might look a little bit like mine, where some of them are broken, but that's okay. They will still work. We need something that's very special to activate our paints to make them start painting, and that is, if you were thinking water, you're absolutely correct. So what I'm going to do, I have my dog bowl at my table. Now, friends, when we have our dog bowls, this sponge is just here to pat your brush on. We're not holding our sponge or picking it up because it's really dirty, if you can see right here. So to keep us clean and not get it all over our clothes, whenever we go to use our sponge, we're just going to tap our brush on it. We're not going to pick it up. The first thing I want you to do is you're going to pick what color you want for one leaf. And I'm going to dip my brush in my water. Pat it on the sponge, get some paint. I think the first color I'm going to use is going to be this pink color. If you notice, I'm adding water to it, and when you add water to it, it should come off on your brush and you should be ready to paint. I'm going to do this first leaf, this pink color, so I'm taking my time, staying just on the outline of my leaf. Now, friends, whenever we go to change our color, we're going to do that same thing. We're going to dip my brush in my water, pat my brush on the sponge, get some paint, and then you're going to pick your next color. I think I want to use this yellow color, so I'm adding water to it. I'm going to paint my big leaf in this sort of yellow color. Take your time with this. We're trying to stay inside of the lines of your leaf. Now, I'm going to dip my brush, pat my brush, get some paint, and I think this time, I'm going to do the color green. I think that will look good together. So even though my green's broken, I'm still adding water to it, and it should still work on your brush. I'm going to do my last leaf in this green color. Keeping my paintbrush up on the tippy toes and not pressing down really hard. I'm going to do that step one more time. You can say it with me this time if you can remember it. Dip my brush, pat my brush, get some paint. And I think the last color I'm going to use, I'm going to use this orange. So I'm putting water on it. Now, friends, even if your paint is a little bit dirty, like my oranges right here, if you add water to it, that dirty part will clear up and then you can use your paint. Last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the background or behind my leaves. Now this is where our messy mat comes in handy. Friends, if you're not using your messy mat, you're going to get your paint all over the table because we're painting right on the edge of your paper. When I see that I'm starting to run out of paint, I'm going to do my 3 steps again of dipping my brush in the water, patting it on the sponge, getting some more orange paint. I'm going to keep going very carefully around my leaves. I'm trying not to paint over my leaves because we just spent time painting them all different colors. Keeping my brush up on its toes. Getting in all those cracks. Friends, when we're done, we don't want any white left on your paper. So whenever we go to paint, you're going to paint your leaves first, and then you're going to pick one color to paint for your background or what is just behind your leaves. All right, friends, whenever you are finished this, we're going to put it on the drying rack, let it fully dry, and that way next week you'll be ready to take these home.